Hope I get the chance to travel the world, but I don't have any plans. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wise.
Hello there. I figured that I did the honours of Dracula and tried to do a bit of vampire films anyway. Why not do the foil one, that being Dracula, Prince of Darkness. Now, as you know, Dracula, Prince of Darkness gets a lot of shit. It's called the worstest, it's called the shittest, blah 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 fucking blah. But this is the bit where I'm going to offend it, because compared to fucking Dracula Pacific fucking rim job, as I like to call it, compared to Dracula 70 fucking 2 AD, I like to call it a shit, it's not as bad as them. But it got to that point, that's when you knew it was turning into fucking shit. But this one I don't think was that bad. I'm the only one I'm fucking going to offend. Sometimes I do offend films, and you remember me fucking saying that. So I'm going to offend this. But one thing I won't offend is I can understand, I love to know what it was that pissed fucking Christopher Lee off. There was a lot of rumours that at the time, the producers and directors of Hammer House were giving him shit. Not shitting your fucking wanker and all this, but shitting shitty fucking lines. The lines, the dialogue, whatever lines they was going to give Christopher Lee as Dracula, they're giving him. Christopher Lee read it, thought, fuck it, I'm going to be a moot, and it fucking souls. Do that ding, someone's just texted me, but they'll have to fucking wait. Right? So someone fucking Bing just put me off, but if you heard it, that is, someone just texted me. But as the film goes on, he never spoke. He was a fucking mute, as I meant to say. Now it starts off in the opening where it shows bits from Horrors of Dracula. You know, the bit where Peter Trussing is chasing after Dracula, the bit with the sun and it melts him and all that shit. The thing was though, Peter Trussing weren't doing this one. The reason why is because, you know, he was playing Doctor Who. He had a 2-day contact with Doctor Who. That's not the TV series, but the movie series. Remember the movies? Doctor Who and the Daleks, and Daleks of Fade Earth, blah blah blah. He was doing the second Doctor Who, so he couldn't do it. Understandable. But it's not bad for what it is, you know, it's your old school vampire film again. It starts off with a couple, it's based in winter, you know, it's supposed to be like a couple of days, 10 days later from where the original one was left off. And they're trying to find a place to stay. They go to a pub and people basically just fuck them off. They don't go to Castlevania, it's bad and all this, but they don't listen because they're dummies. There's one guy who is basically like a priest, fucking cross skates a lot. He's a vampire killer. And even he advises them, don't go there, bad place, don't go to Castlevania. But they don't listen because they're dummies. They go on the Jolts told them, no, fuck off, I'm not going to ride you no more. Go and kiss my ass, suck a dick. They got him a dummy, he rightly smacks the guy in the face, which is understandable because they're dummies. Rides off, tells them to fuck off, and rides off. Long below, they get a horse and tar, and they end up in Tassel fucking Fania because they're dummies. I'm not repeating myself 5-6 times, but they are. How many people said don't go to Castlevania? Don't go, don't fucking go. And how many times did they bury their head in the fucking ass and fucking went anyway? I think when 3, 4, 5 people tell you not to go somewhere and you do the fucking opposite, so to be rude, duh. Anyway, they meet a guy who's going to be, I'm assuming he's like someone who's a Marco and so on, and he's like the butler sort of type of guy, and he makes some wine and, you know what I mean, he's a bit weird. Long behold, he gets one of the actors or one of the people, stabs him, done so a lot, different era, different time. But it's just bit too big to do some though, because you do get the idea he slits his throat, blood comes gushing out, and it's in a coffin. Good effect for its time, I will give it that. It kind of reminds me of how Freddy got resurrected in the 4th Elm Street film. Just remind me a bit of that. The effects are not that dull, but you know, again, different era. Long behold, steam comes out this thing that looks like a fucking jacuzzi bath, and there comes our mate, Christopher Lee, back in his second role as Dracula, Prince of Darkness. Again, he never had any lines in this, he just is this, you know, the fake fangs. You've seen it in a lot of vampire films and all that shit, you know, and ran up fucking stair. He does a bit of that, and he gets the woman who is the wife of the one who they killed, turns her into a vampire. The other two couple manage to use the brain and get the fuck out of here, get out of fucking Dodds. And they meet the Di who basically advised them not to go to Tasselfania. Basically must have heard my review before I did it, because even he calls them a pair of fucking dumbos. Doesn't say that, but you know, we might as well have said that. And basically they get the woman who got turned. But I do love to see, before all that, I'm going ahead of myself here, before they get away, she does say a line: "You don't need tiles." Her arms come out and the fangs come out, and I just love that scene. It's iconic. It's, to me, that was just fucking, that's more scary than this shit you see nowadays, what they call vampire films. Again, they get like I say, they got away, and the Di basically advises them not to go back, but they do go back, because I'm assuming now, yeah, Dracula, and that's what I'm saying. He kidnaps the woman, you've got the two coffins, one falls off, they manage to save the woman, and I love to see where they're on ice. That's like Mickey actually when there's all reruns of this, where they say it's like dancing on ice. He fights with the character, they're on ice, right? The woman gets a shot done, shoots it, Dracula falls in, as I say, Dracula's stunt double, and he falls in ice, gets downed, or so say, gets frozen, falls on in the next one. That being, if I can remember it, bear with me, Dracula Risens from the Grave. But not bad. I felt they sort of made it a couple of days after. Now I do know that they did make one called Dracula. If I do remember, they did make one called The Brides of Dracula in 1960. But it's not really a Dracula film. But all in all, it's not a bad one for what it is. I don't get why the Prince of Dracula got a lot of shit. There's that bits where I wonder why Christopher Lee didn't speak, whether it's what was said, whether they're doing shitty lines or not. But for what it is, I don't think it's that bad. So for that, it's a step down, but it's not that bad. So I'm going to give it a 12-star rating. Pissing it down outside, which is gay. But apart from that, Dracula, Prince of Darkness, I don't think it's that bad. Compared to most films you see nowadays, it's pretty good. Halloween night, you could put it on. The old school type of horror film. Not that bloody for the era, but it's pretty good to see Christopher Lee. I don't think it's bad for an old school type of vampire film, and for that, I'll talk about more vampire films, talk more about Christopher Lee as Dracula, and maybe talk about other movies on the way. But into then, have a good one, everyone. It's not that much of a big review, but I just thought I'd offend Dracula the Prince of Darkness, because again, if you can hear, it's a fucking rain. It's like a classic oldie from that era. So other than that, everyone, have a good one.